everyone, and welcome back to my channel True Crime and Trials, where I discuss true crime and trials. My name's Lindsay, and this video is a Bob Durst trial video, and it has 3 witnesses in it. The first one is very quick, and his name is John Ross, and he analysed the telephone records, and he was an ex-cop. They show that the time Kathy Durst was supposed to be at the apartment from the 30th of January 1982 at 9:01 a.m. and the 3rd of February at 3:10 p.m. nobody used the phone for a long distance phone call. Neither were there any calls made to Kathy's medical school. A collect call was made from the Katona Laundromat to Van Dorm Realty Corp on the 1st of February, another 3 from Beach Haven on the 2nd of February. So the cross-examination, there were no calls from Bob to Susan Berman on the 31st of January or the 1st of February. The only call to Susan was on the 3rd of February. So, you know, he killed Kathy. He didn't call Susan right away. I mean, that proves nothing because he didn't report her missing till 4 or 5 days later. So Mr. Chesnoff is trying to get the witness to admit to the fact that if Kathy did call the Dean, that it would have lasted less than 3 minutes. Therefore, it wouldn't have registered on the phone records, which he can only say that if it was 3 minutes, then it wouldn't have registered, but he can't say how long that call would have been. You know, the defence can keep trying to push as much as they want, but they cannot get a witness to admit that a call was made that wasn't registered and say how long it lasted for. That's just ridiculous. So the next witness is Karen Minutello, and she was property manager for apartments in New York where Bob was a tenant with Kathy. She became aware of Kathy's disappearance from Kathy's sister and her friend, who were also tenants in the building. Karen received a phone call from Kathy on the 25th of January 1982, and she was asking if there were any empty apartments. But Kathy was hesitant when Karen asked her more questions. You know, she was trying to probe a bit deeper, but Kathy really didn't want to say anything. But she did tell her that she didn't want to live with Bob anymore. I mean, we know Kathy does eventually like to tell people more things about her life. Karen told her that she didn't have any empty apartments for her. Karen says that during that phone call, Kathy said that she was afraid of Bob and that Kathy didn't want Karen telling anyone else about it. I mean, how many people actually knew about the goings-on between Kathy and Bob? She also asked if she could have a roommate in the apartment, she was in to help pay the rent. And she didn't want to be by herself, even though she was living with Bob. So that sounded really odd. So a quick flash question over a doorman by the name of George, who told Kathy about Bob taking tenants' bikes. That's another one that skimmed over, and then we go back to the phone call. The details of this call she put in the details of this call that she had with Kathy, she put in the tenant's file when she learned that Kathy had gone missing, because obviously, you know, when you learn someone's gone missing and you've had a phone call like that, you know, you're either the type of person that you're going to remember it or you want to record it for yourself. So now on to the inevitable trash compactor. The porters were the ones that emptied the compact chute, and it was the superintendent, Carlos Hernandez, that came to her office and told her that the compactor was all jammed up. So Karen went to look at what the problem was, and when she got there, the porters were pulling out clothes, books, personal possessions that had been jamming up the machine. There were also personal items like hairdryers, makeup and clothing. Karen picked up a notebook or a textbook or something that had Kathy's name in it. This was days after Kathy's disappearance, so not long at all. She remembers it, she remembers it because she can't understand why someone would do that when the wife has only been missing a short period of time. So the next event is when Bob tried to sublease the apartment at or around Kathy's disappearance. She received a letter saying that he was interested in subleasing the apartment, and this was on the 4th of February 1982, and you can see a copy of that letter. But Bob didn't end up doing that, and Bob left, and another person ended up renting the apartment. The first time she spoke about these incidents was in 2001, but she did expect the police to come and speak to her back then. So there we go, we get more clarification on the compactor incident. So the next witness is Charles Lachman, and he is an executive producer for the Inside Edition and has been for 25 years or so. But previously to that, he was a reporter for the New York Post. He says he doesn't feel good about testifying today purely because he would rather be home than in court, and of course he either had the choice of coming in or he would be subpoenaed. He covered the story of Kathy's disappearance, and it was obviously a big story for him, with him being a young reporter at the time, and he secured a sit-down interview with Bob. So he goes through part of the article and it reads, Bob is offering an unspecified reward for information leading to his wife's whereabouts. Durst said, I think Kathy's alive. He suggested his wife ran away because she suffered some sort of breakdown. Kathy was doing badly in medical school and was doing badly in her life. She was unhappy. All I want to know is that she's someplace and she's all right. I'm not trying to drag her back. In the interview, Durst acknowledged his past affair with Prudence Farrow, who is married and works as a secretary. Durst also spoke of the anger and frustration that marred his marriage to Kathy. He said, Kathy and I have been having marital problems for several years. We are going back and forth. My wife and I didn't live together from June of 1980. Then she moved into Riverside Drive apartment in April of 81. During that time, we both had relationships. When asked about his relationship with Prudence, he said it wasn't an intimate relationship. We are still good friends. When Kathy and I got back together, the last thing Prudence wanted to do was see me. Kathy knew about Prudence from the very beginning. He then declared Kathy did cocaine. He wondered whether Kathy's cocaine habit got her involved with bad elements who might somehow be responsible for her disappearance. Durst informed Kathy's family and the police Thursday night that his wife was gone. The Post found that Kathy's lawyers were negotiating a financial agreement with Durst's attorneys. Durst said he was very troubled about the negotiations because he had to supply Kathy's attorney with oh my God, I can't even say it. Revelatory personal financial records. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with that word. Charles also spoke to Susan Berman, but he can't remember today sitting down and speaking to her, but there was at least one conversation he had with her. He reads a statement that he took from Susan, and she says, I can't imagine he'd do anything to her, period. Maybe, dear God. So, even Susan had her doubts. I mean, was she saying that because she knew what he'd done? Or was she saying that because she didn't know, but she knew Bob was more than capable of it? The next reads, the last year of their marriage was a complete disaster. This is a man who loved her deeply. He says Kathy was never admitted to Jacoby. He never beat her up. He's flabbergasted. He's very, very upset. He's terribly upset by this. I don't know whether he knew or not. Now on to the interview with Bob. Asked about new developments in the case, and Bob tells him nothing meaningful. Periodically, reports of a woman in a morgue or a woman in a mental institution which are checked out. I feel they've gone above and beyond the call of duty. No, they haven't. Gut feeling on whether she is alive or dead. Bob says it depends on how I feel. If I'm feeling good, I hope she's alive someplace. When asked about the domestic violence, he says it's totally untrue. He speaks about Gilberta and Najami. He says that she was trying to break them up from the very beginning. No, she just knew what a bad apple you were. For whatever reason, she has never liked me. Last April, we were just about ready to settle things. Gilberta convinced Kathy to get different counsel. She convinced my wife that there was another law firm. Against everything I tried to say, Kathy switched attorneys and went to Millbank Tweed. Bob also says that Kathy couldn't have gone to Jacobi Hospital because they were in Denver. So we know that's a lie because we've had the doctor that treated her. Bob also tells him that on the night she disappeared, she was angry as hell at him and that she came back from Gilberta's very, very drunk and she wanted to get right to the city. She couldn't drive. That's why I took her to the station. So the cross-examination, the police got a hold of Charles's notes and he has no clue how they got them. He did ask, but they wouldn't tell him. So there we go. More lies that we hear from Bob. More doubt from Susan Berman. As much as she was his spokesperson, she either knew damn well what he'd done or, you know, as try as she might to stick up for him, she had her doubts. So there we go. I'll be back with more on the Durst trial. So until then, bye for now.